Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. We are located on the ancestral lands of the Settlecott people. My name is Gina Talento, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning. Our guest service leader is the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. Our unicorn singers will be singing for us, and keeping us technically connected will be Rich Hall, Linda Cartesi, and Robert Pond. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. Whether you are here in our sanctuary or attending online, we are one congregation worshiping together. So let's all say hi and wave to those of us who are worshiping from home. The camera is up on your left. A very special welcome to those of you who are here for the first time. We are so glad that you are here and look forward to getting to know you. If you're comfortable, please raise your hand so we can greet you personally later. Welcome, welcome. Please plan to join us after the service for coffee and conversation. For those who are with us online, if you sign off when we finish and return to our website, you will find the link for joining our small group chats. Whether here or online, you will find friendly folks who can answer any questions you may have. If at any time you would like to light a candle of joy or concern, please feel free to do so. Please silence your cell phones and let us now enter into the sacred space of worship with the sounding of the morning bell. May the vibrations help us to open our hearts and our minds and bring us fully into this moment.
Clouds are swift, rocks are ancient, mountains high, oceans great. Winds are restless, trees are patient, and you, my child, are awake. Waves are crashing, rivers churning, planets twirling, stars ablaze. Storms are raging, atoms whirling, and you, my child, are awake. To perceive these wondrous things, count the beat of a blackbird's wing, tell the story and dance and sing. All the splendors of creation are very happy that you came, because they needed someone to see them, and you, my child, are awake. To perceive these wondrous things, count the of a blackbird's wings, tell the story and dance and sing. seeds are hopeful, dewdrops fleeting. Oaks are crooked, redwoods straight. They are not known to the sleeping, but you, my child, are awake. You, my child, are awake. You, my child.
Thank you to the choir. Once upon a time, our early human relatives sat around together in forest communities. They only had each other to depend upon. So, if you had an itch in the center of your back, someone else in the community had to scratch it for you. And you would do the same for them. Imagine. But then one day, calling it progress, the back scratcher was invented. And no one had to depend on another person to scratch their back. And maybe this was the beginning of forgetting that we are interdependent. So today, we worship together, trying very hard to remember that we are indeed still connected and still dependent upon one another.
We have asked Denise Stevenson to light our chalice this morning. Our chalice lighting words are from Bringing Us Home to Love by Francis Kozar. We light this chalice today as a people dedicated to personal growth. May it burn away the oppressions we have been taught and glow instead with the humility of learning. May it reignite our dreams for a better world and kindle our joy for simple living. May its warmth extend out into the forgotten alleyways of exclusion and bring us home to love, to welcoming, and to all the challenges, the questions, and the blessings of this beautiful path to becoming a beloved community. We invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our first hymn, Blue Boat Home. It is number 1064 in the Teal hymnal.
Away Good morning, beloveds. Happy to see you on such a lovely, crisp fall day. Today, Reverend Fenimore is asking us to consider where we need to be to build the world we dream about. And our Time for All Ages is based on a true story from 1931 that suggests we can be anywhere so long as we respond when our hearts feel called to help. The story, entitled "My Heart Will Not Sit Down," is set in Cameroon, which for our younger ones is a country in Africa. Katie hurried down the dusty path. She did not want to be late to school. She wanted to get a good seat close to teacher. All the children liked to sit near teacher so they could look at his strange black shoes and watch the way his yellow mustache turned up when he smiled. But teacher was not smiling today. He sat on a log holding a newspaper, looking sad. "Bad news from America," he said. "The Depression is getting worse." Teacher told the children the Depression was a time of trouble for America. Men and women had no work. Children went hungry. In New York, he said, people are starving because they do not have money to buy food. "Is that your village?" Katie asked. "New York?" Teacher smiled. "I suppose you could call it a village, a very, very big village, with people from around the world." All day, Katie thought about the hungry children in New York, and her heart stood up for them in sympathy. Katie knew how it felt to be hungry. "Why the sad face, little one?" said Mama as they worked together, harvesting peanuts and yams. Teacher said the people in his village have nothing to eat. "Well, let them come to us," said Mama. "We will share." "But they live very far away, across the Great Salt River. They cannot all come." Then Katie had a new thought. Teacher said they needed money to buy food. Could we give him money to send home? "Money," said Mama. "We do not have enough coins to pay the head tax even. How could we send money?" Katie knew Mama was right, and still her heart would not sit down. Someone in the village must have money, she thought. "I will go and ask." Katie asked the uncle weaving a basket, and the sweeping mother with the baby on her back, and the grandmother with strong arms pounding cassava. She asked the laughing girls carrying pots of river water. She asked the old men playing their games of stones, and finally, bowing her head, she asked the headman of the village. Everywhere the answer was the same. Nobody had money to send to America. At home, Katie helped stir the soup for supper. She breathed in the spicy smell and sighed, thinking of the children who could not look forward to a bowl of soup in New York. When night came, she lay on the bamboo bed between her brothers and sisters, but she could not sleep. In the morning, Katie heard the distant beat of the drum. She started to run down the path to school, but then Mama called her back. "Little one," she said, "give this to teacher for the people in his village. Tax time is not here yet. We will find a way." Katie stared at the single small coin in her palm. She knew Mama had no more to give, but would it be enough? "Thank you," she whispered. Lessons had already begun, and Katie sat down in the back, far away from teacher. She knew she should give him Mama's money right away, but she couldn't make herself speak. Finally, she raised her hand. "Teacher, are there many children in New York?" "Why, yes," he said, looking surprised. "As many children as we have in our village?" "Oh, many more," he said. "In New York, the people crowd each other like the tall grass in the field." So many. Katie felt her eyes fill up with tears. How could she offer him her small, small money? Then she heard the noise. Thump, 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 like the beat of a drum, the sound of many footsteps. First, the headman came, then the men from the palaver house, the uncle and the other men and boys. Next came all the women, and last of all came Mama. "We have heard about the hunger in our teacher's village," said the headman. "Our hearts would not sit down until we have helped." One by one, the people went up with the money and put it in teacher's open hands. Katie's small, bright coin glittered among the rest. "Well, little one," Mama said, "now will your heart sit down in peace?" "Yes, Mama," Katie said, "yes." In 1931, the city of New York received a gift of $3.77 from the country of Cameroon. It was to feed the hungry. While this was a small amount in America, even during the Depression, it was a fortune to the people in Cameroon. Growing enough food to stay alive was a constant struggle, yet people in the village shared with anyone in need, even a stranger from far away who was passing through. May we all be unsettled when our hearts won't sit down, and may we share freely with others. Amen. So now I would ask my K-4 teachers to rise, and there they are. And kids, you can go back to the door with Susan and Melissa, and then my junior high teachers, Carrie and Dan, and the junior high middle school kids can go back to the door with them. And I would ask you all to turn to the back of your either hymnal and sing the Reed benediction to sing our children out to their classes.
Our meditation this morning will be the poem, The Guest House by Rumi. Bethany will bring us out of our meditation with the hymn 123, Spirit of Life, in the Great Hymnal. You may want to open your hymnal to that page now. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. So momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if there are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I am honored to introduce to you our service leader today, the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. Reverend Dr. Fenimore is lead minister at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Shelter Rock and has served as Director of Religious Education, Minister of Religious Education, and Parish Minister in Maryland, Virginia, and New York over the past 26 years. Reverend Dr. Fenimore has served on the UUA Commission on Institutional Change and is President of the Liberal Religious Educators Association. Thank you so much for leading us this morning, Reverend Dr. Fenimore.
I want to thank you all for your invitation, and I want to thank you for providing me with your faces. I see excitement and wisdom and learning, and I don't want to dismiss any of you over here, but over there is this baby that is just wonderful to see. So often, in what we come to call these times, we ask ourselves, what should we do? What can we do? But another question we might ask, one that may lead us even closer to an actual answer, is, where might we be? Where should we be? Where are we called to locate ourselves so that we may be in conversation with the words of the prophet Micah? Where do we need to be to learn to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God? The prophets and seers of many of the world's faiths and philosophies have chosen to locate themselves in hard and challenging places. As Luke Powery, Dean of Duke University Chapel, writes about the Jesus in the book of Matthew, he says, Jesus leaves the familiar, the comfortable territory, and the known people to enter a sort of red light district, a place where most people would not dare to go. Going there is socially unacceptable. It's where the so-called outcasts, unclean, and undesirables live. But we discover that the outsider finds a place on the inside of the heart of God. Muhammad leaves the comfort he has known as a wealthy man from a prominent clan and embraces women and slaves as the first believers in Islam. Moses turns from the life as the prince of Egypt to claim a home among Jewish slaves. This mirrors the founding narrative of Buddhism. The Buddha turns from his sheltered life as Prince Siddhartha Gautama when he discovers the existence of the poor and the sick, which had been kept from him in his priestly view. And once the suffering present in the world is known to him, the Buddha was compelled to move toward those in pain, not to continue to shelter himself, not to remain in a place of comfort, which was, and often still is, also a place of ignorance and self-deception, a place of deafening falsehoods and blinding inequity. Imagine how our princely, wealthy billionaires live today. Are they also in a place of ignorance and self-deception, separated from the poor and needy of the world? The lives of prophets, the stories we tell of them, are, of course, lessons for us. What do we do or not do? Where do we stay? Where do we go? Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha did not choose to ascend. They lived lives of engagement, wrestling with injustice, being in the dirt with the dirty, the hungry, the needy, being faithful unto death, to the business of humanity, to life as a spirit-making journey. You know, they say that we are human people learning to live a spiritual life. And our Unitarian Universalist humanism also affirms our own individual human agency. It affirms that each of us has the power to choose to be a change agent, a welcomer, a greeter, a bridge builder, a challenger, and a comforter. The holy within each of us is there to be known and shared. It cannot be known if it is not shared. We too are called to faithfulness. Faithfulness to justice, faithfulness to mercy, faithfulness to humility, faithfulness to love. The sources of our Unitarian Universalist principles and now our covenant include the words and deeds of prophetic people, those of other faiths like Gandhi, King, Ella Baker, Dorothy Day, and Unitarian Universalists like Thoreau, like Francis Harper, Susan B. Anthony, James Reeb, Whitney Young, and so many others who have carried the light of our collective chalices into the struggle for justice. We located ourselves together so that we might gain greater strength and clarity about our vision for a more just world, the world that we hope to bring into being by our own individual actions, each of us one action at a time, one foot put forward on the path to justice. I remember the powerful Ware lecture given by Brian Stevenson at General Assembly in 2017. Stevenson is executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative, and I invite all of you to go online and look up his work advocating for those wrongly imprisoned and on death row, and also his work in uncovering the history of lynching and racial injustice in this country. I've been privileged to go to his museum in Montgomery, and it is a beautiful thing. Please look it up. He asked people in the Ware lecture to get proximate, to get close. He says that proximity has taught him some basic humbling truths, including this one vital lesson. Each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. The true measure of our character is how we treat the poor, the disfavored, the accused, the incarcerated, and the condemned. Our shared brokenness connects us. And if we are willing to get closer to people who are suffering, you will find the power to change the world. You begin to recognize the humanity that resides in each of us. Brian Stevenson asks us to consider how we have distanced ourselves from those who are suffering. Yes, our good liberal instincts may cause us to begin to turn toward the other, the outsider, but not so much in our culture. So much in our culture still serves to distance us one from the other. Most of the time, hi, sweet baby. Most of the time, we cannot quite make the full turn to the other. We get busy, right? We get busy with other things in our lives. Might it be the case that we have been told we can rely on the comfort of using some kind of social back scratcher? We give money for causes, right? We try to elect good officials to represent us, right? We don't need to monitor them, do we? We don't need to demand accountability, do we? We might ask ourselves, can we get close enough to scratch each other's backs again? Can we reclaim the bond of reciprocity that ties community Can we remember and cherish our interdependence? Location, location, location. The real estate that is this place is both a particular physical location here in your community, a building, a place where you've chosen to be. But is it not also a location of the Spirit? Should it not also be primarily a location of the Spirit, a place where we have to come to leave the familiar, the comfortable, the usual territory? Can you think of this as a place outside of the rest of the world? A place you have built to come to be separate from the rest of the world. A place of newness, a place of possibility, a place of courage and potential, a place of hope, a place of struggle. This is a location of faithfulness, where you wrestle with the messiness of community building. In ways large and small, your ministry here has been done by people here. And I ask that you fully embrace the profound beauty of what has been created here and what must be recreated together here again and again and again. Each person asking you to reform community again and again and again. But not in a way that wearies you, but in a way that gives you more strength, more energy, more power, because it brings you closer to more love. Our very denomination has been struggling with its own identity. Can our theology hold fast to its covenant of right relationship with all the diversity that it purports to welcome? Where does Unitarian Universalism locate itself, and with what people? May we choose then to journey ever deeper into the lonely places with those labeled unclean and undesirable and unwanted. May we be near to those who are in need, not because they need us, but because we need them. The righteous and rebellious hopefulness of those who have been on the outside can be moved into the center of our faith, and it can bring a strength and a vision to build a future for our faith. I began by talking about prophets and how prophets leave the safe places, move closer to the margins and the edges of society. In the story of Jesus found in the book of Matthew, Jesus goes to the red light district and encounters a Canaanite woman. She is therefore doubly lesser. She is a woman and a foreigner. But this woman resists and rejects her marginalization. She sees Jesus in her neighborhood, and she steps right up and she challenges him to heal her daughter. She asks for mercy, and she demands to be considered as a worthy human being. The Canaanite woman makes demands for her child. She makes demands for the future. She is brave, she is bold, she is faithful. And she moves Jesus so that he provides this welcome and this healing for her daughter. The prophet not only speaks, but listens and learns. And we are in relationship with those we may consider lesser, not to speak, but to listen and to learn. To hear the stories of others, we must get close enough to listen and to learn. As the late theologian James Cone wrote in 1969, the passive acceptance of injustice is not the way of human beings. That statement is still relevant to us today, decades and decades later. We must remember that all times are hard times for someone, that we must remain committed to not losing hope. That hope is grounded not in optimism, but in persistence and resistance and vision. To be hopeful is not to be passive. Hope is active. We have to get close to the places and the people of hope. And we may regard this not as hard or difficult or painful work, but as love and joy-filled ministry. May we remember how good it is, how good it feels to scratch each other's backs again. We might all say, ah, right now. Ah, right now. What might be found here in this very place, or what might be more surely made here in this place, in this location, is a community where the words of the prophet Micah can be made manifest, where we might choose to turn toward the good. Is that not the gift of our Unitarian Universalism? To know that we are freely chosen? We have freely chosen. We've used our hearts, our minds, our memories, our history, our experience to turn toward the good, to know it and claim it and freely turn toward it. Not as a dictate to us, a choice, a holy choice. And then to wrestle with what that turning means, with what that good is, with what it demands of us. Because here, we get to get close enough to those who are in need of justice and mercy. Here, we may walk humbly with our God, but more so, we may walk humbly and in love with one another. May the strength found in this humility and love empower this community and its ministry to the world and its ministry to each other. In this location, may we affirm that our lives are both full of struggle and full of joy. In this place, this location of your ministry, this is where you have chosen to build a new way. May it be so, because in this new way, there is life. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Fenimore. At each service, we practice generosity by taking a collection which we share with an organization working for social justice. This week, we will be responding to the suffering of those whose lives have been upended by hurricanes Helene and Milton, and by the changes wrought by global warming in general by supporting the Unitarian Universalist Association Disaster Relief Fund. The UUA Disaster Relief Fund receives donations from congregations and individuals who want to support Unitarian Universalist congregations and the wider community following a disaster. The Relief Fund reviews grant applications and distributes those funds to help care for the needs of their members, as well as supporting people in the wider community. In the past, grants have been given to remediate food, fire, and tornado damage in communities such as Ashland, Oregon, and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Arlington, Virginia. In addition, the UUA understands the connection between disaster relief and justice making. It is the most vulnerable populations that suffer the most in a disaster. The Disaster Relief Fund is part of a covenant, the covenant between the UUA and congregations, between congregations who give generously and those in need, and with our community partners. Through aiding our congregations, their members, and their community partners, we are able to embody our faith and values, but the need is high and their funds are running low. So thank you for your generosity. For those online, the link to donate is in the chat.
Lovely. As we close, I would like to acknowledge the candles lit today. Candles lit of joy and sorrow, spoken and unspoken, but held in our hearts. And by way of benediction, go in peace, do the work of justice and of peace, hold each other in your hearts, give a hand where needed. May all be blessed. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able to sing hymn number 1017, We Are Building a New Way, in the Teal hymnal.
Please be seated. We extinguish our chalice with these words by Amanda Alice Ullum. Together we have enjoyed the warmth and beauty of stories, of this flame, and of this special community. As our chalice flame is extinguished this morning, we can still remember that its glow is carried within us. We can use our inner lights and this flame to kindle new sparks throughout our lives and in the world. May the spirit of peace and togetherness bless your lives. And as our service concludes, let's wave and say goodbye to the folks at home.
no room